Hey, everybody. I'm Jane.
And I'm Sera.
And you're listening to the Medium Curious Podcast, the show that takes mediums and makes them large and in charge.
Yay! And on today's very special episode, we have Carla Jalbert. She's an intuitive healer, a medium, a channeler, and one of my mentors. And we also have an incredible story to share about connection, synchronicities, and an enlightened famous person.
Yeah, who comes through several of you?
You ready to dig in, Jane?
Yeah, let's find out who's behind the curtain. Here we go.
So, Jane, this is Carla.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
And you know what? I'm not Carla because Carla gave me a reading yesterday.
Oh, she did?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, lucky you. She gave me one last week and I really needed it. So Carla to me has been one of my go-to people for years now, since I've been on this whole spiritual journey path. Wow. And she's been a mentor. She's been my cheerleader, my intuitive, give me all the dirt. Tell me what I need to know. And then, last week she really helped ground me and get into my body, which was something that I really, really needed. So thank you, Carla. You've been so important in my life. And now I get to share you.
Wow. I don't even know what to say to that. That's so fabulous.
Well, I know that you're like that for so many people too.
Oh, thank you.
So many people we send you to.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I've been hearing about Carla and Maui for years and years and years and years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That makes my heart happy.
And for full circle, for our listeners out there who remember the podcast we did with my bestie Eliza and Miami Carla, this is like a full circle little medium pod. I don't know another way to describe it. So you're the one that kind of brought Eliza online, and you were just tapping into your mediumship powers when Caleb crossed over.
Oh,
yes, I was dipping my toes in the water in terms of coming out and actually telling people, because I live on Maui and Eliza's parents live 2 doors down. So I had peripherally known Eliza when they would come visit, and it was after sweet, beautiful Caleb's transition that Eliza and I got close and just had some of the most magical readings. And it was really Eliza that gave me the confidence to come out, as we've talked about before, and her mom talking to my husband and telling him how helpful it was for Eliza working with me and Laura Lynn and so many others. And so it was Eliza's mom who really gave my husband the thumbs up that, okay, what she's doing is really helping and healing for people.
Oh, so important, especially in the scheme of what they were going through.
Yes.
My God.
Yes.
Like, that is so compelling. I can only imagine that he was like, okay, copy that. Go ahead.
Yeah. His comfort with the woo-woo was not quite there. Matter of fact, he had known I'd been studying energy medicine for years, and now it's been about 18, 19 years. And so he was okay with that, like with me learning about it, and he didn't really want to know about it. And I'd always felt connected to spirit. And so it was through those who'd passed and crossed over. And it was through my energy medicine training and then working with some mediums on the mainland and from the Arthur Findlay College that really helped cultivate that and give me confidence to include that as part of my energetic toolbox. But matter of fact, the first time when I told him what I was doing and why people were coming over, we were going to Thanksgiving dinner at a friend's house. And I said, honey, I just need to tell you why people are coming over. He's like, what? And I said, I talk to dead people. And he's like, good God, if you want a divorce, just tell me you want a divorce. Don't make this shit up.
Oh, hilarious.
Oh, shit. That's amazing. Oh, honey. I'm sorry.
And then when I told him I started channeling 4.5 years ago,
Oh, yeah.
he's like, oh, good God, I just got used to you talking to dead people. And now this?
Oh my God,
So-
Carla, that's totally my perspective too. I'm like, hey, I just got used to talking to dead people. Now you want me to channel an entity? Seriously, guys. So I'm your husband in the equation for myself. But so honey, wait, so then what happened? Like, did he come around? And
he is amazing. He's amazing. No, so supportive. I hit the husband jackpot for sure.
Aww.
No, he's just the best, absolute best. Yeah, no, he gets it. He knows it's helpful. Maybe doesn't quite understand it, but he said he'd listen to this podcast, so I'm very excited. Hi, honey, I love you.
We're just gonna call him Jackpot from now on.
Okay, Jackpot.
Yeah, jackpot husband. That's awesome. Yay.
Oh, Carla, I see you have your beverage of choice. I was listening to you on the beach yesterday, and your morning cuppa.
My morning, the Daily Cup with Carla.
The Daily Cup with Carla. I loved it so much. I brought my cup.
I was just listening to mine right before we all hopped on. It's so beautiful. Do you want to share with us what your new project is? I can't wait for everybody else to discover it too.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. It's like I've given birth to my third child here. But I had this idea for a long time. And actually, Sera, it was from the workshop we did in Berkeley 2 years ago.
Oh, I remember.
Which was just the most magical day. And we'll touch on that later. But I had participants ask me, how do I continue on with this spiritual high, right? Because this workshop is amazing, but on the day-to-day real life stuff, how do I do it? And so as part of the To Go Home pamphlet, there's a list of books, a list of different meditation apps and so forth. And I knew that wasn't enough. And I actually started my own consistent daily spiritual practice 7 years ago, because I got out of bed because I had read that if you that bringing coffee or tea could be part of your sacred ritual. And I'm like, I am all over that. That got me out of bed, and I have had a consistent practice. So that's the name, Daily Cup with Carla. Okay, so back to the project. I created this app, and the app is called Sera, which is short for Seraphim, Angels of the Highest Wisdom. And what it does is this little spiritual pocket guide goes in your pocket, and you can access it every day. And each day there'll be some inspiring quotes. There'll be the Daily Cup with Carla, which is like a 5-minute video teaching. It's going to include a gratitude practice. And then what I'm really excited about are the meditations that I've created based on my background in energy medicine, the science of the Heart Math Institute, and the wisdom from my guides who I channel. And my guides are referred to as the guiding angels of light and love. My gals, I call them. I got my gals.
Oh, I love that.
And so it just has all come together in such a beautiful way. And I'm super excited to launch it because my daily practice transformed my life. And I don't think I would have had the experience of connecting in with my guides that I did 4.5 years ago. That was so significant and profound, without being ready for it and expanded in a way that I was connecting to the divine on a daily level. And so I know firsthand the difference it can make in people's lives. And I've worked, I started the meditation program at the Pacific Cancer Foundation 9 years ago here on Maui. And I could see when people implemented a daily practice, how it transformed their lives. And it's so beautiful, the difference it can make. So that's what I'm doing, bringing that. And it's
so great.
Deepening your own intuition is really the the win out of it. And then when we live from that place of making choices from our highest self by connecting into the divine, and we live a life most in affinity with ourselves. And Joseph Campbell says, when we're living from that place, living from the heart, our bliss, 1,000 unseen helping hands appear. And like that's when the magic happens in our life, our day-to-day life. And to really trust yourself and live from that place is remarkable. Sera has seen this in her own life with her practice and as well, just over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. I do get a lot of people that say to me after I tell them, yes, meditation really is the portal to your intuition. It really is. And they say, oh, I can't do it. It doesn't work for me. I suck at it. I don't know how to do it. And I do feel like unless you have somebody there to guide you and hold your hand and show you how to do it, it can be really difficult. So what you're doing, and I did one of your meditations today, and it is so stunningly beautiful, is you're guiding these meditations. So all the participant has to do is, listen in a quiet spot, and you guide them into this beautiful, it's like a beautiful sanctuary. Yeah.
Yes. And that's what the mystics were known for, having these direct experiences with the divine, right? Like get out of the head, out of the theological talking, and into the actual experiences. And almost even recreating my first day I started channeling, which was so profound and mystical. I'm helping people feel that. What does that feel like? And to actually connect in to the divine is so beautiful.
Do you want to tell us about how your channeling started? I know I've heard it, but I don't think Jane has. It's such a cool story.
Thank you. Yeah, it was quite unexpected. I actually was snowboarding 4.5 years ago, and I knocked myself unconscious. And as my son said, I didn't know someone who goes as slow as you could have a head injury, Mom. Like,
so
okay.
Sweet. Seems pretty worried about you at that point.
After like making sure I was not having a brain bleed or anything, and it was just going to be a amount of time recovering, I had such intense headaches in the morning when I woke up, and meditation, like going deep into my meditation and really surrendering, created some space for me to live in that pain without wanting to check out. Right. So I have been working with different spiritual teachers over the years, and I had some guidance in opening myself up to higher levels of consciousness. And one morning during this meditation, a couple of months after the snowboarding accident, I felt myself like really surrender. And this beautiful energy came into my body. That's almost like there's not enough words to describe it properly. Our English language is so limited, but it was so beautiful, and it energized my whole entire body. Like I was never scared for a second. And I started moving in a way with my body, and I'm just going with it. And so I asked the energy, who is this? And literally the energy was so strong, it pulled my left hand up to my chest. And 3 times I said, I am the light. I am the light. I am the light. And I'm like,
Who
okay.
chills?
Well,
so good.
Who is the light? I want more information.
Yeah.
And then in my mind's eye, the word agape was spelled out for me, AGAPE. And I, being raised Catholic, I kind of remember my parents doing a agape retreat or something. So when I just kind of left that in my head, and I just went with the energy that was flowing, and I started chanting Odage agape, Odage agape. And I didn't understand what that meant until I came out of the meditation and I looked up the words agape, and it's the highest love there is, the love for God from man, and God to man. So man to God. Yes. So I was like, holy cow, that's crazy. And so literally the next day, the same thing, the energy comes in. It wasn't nearly as intense as it was the first day. And I just started writing the messages. And then after like a month of writing all these messages, I felt inclined to try speaking. And Sera saw me channel quite often. And I started speaking the messages. And the guides directed me to create this class. It was during the pandemic, called Becoming a Light Being. And so they literally gave me all this information for a 6-week class. And my wonderful assistant, Megan, moved in with me and we put it together. And Sera was part of that class. And so becoming a light being, being our most expanded selves. And like most of the time, I don't even remember it, right? Because when you're teaching it, you're so in the moment. But Sera, maybe you want to say something about the class as you were there?
It was beautiful. I mean, it was a coming together of people who were seeking in a time where we were all at home with each other or secluded or isolated. And I do feel like there was a lot of magic and beauty that happened during that time.
Yeah.
The other part of it that was beautiful was that Eliza was also in that class and was able to share. I think it's having these experiences, these transcendent experiences alone are just life-changing, revolutionary, and then applicable to grief and loss and, you know, coming and solving, healing, taking care of some of these human needs that we go through, that we suffer with, was also, you know, part of the magic of that class too.
Yeah, like there's so much more than meets the eye, right? And when we tap into that and we are able to see the bigger picture, it helps us move through our daily lives with greater ease. Like not to get so caught up in the drama of things or be like, oh, wow, in the big picture, in the really big picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting stuck in traffic is not that big a deal.
It's like a buffering is how I experience it. It's like I just have more space between me and the crunchiness, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's some angel wings like flopping, like, come on, babe.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Yeah. No, it was, I had several students who were like, class was life transforming.
Oh, wow.
And their belief of the spiritual world. Because I was definitely nervous about, it was one thing to be a medium, but to come out. I mean, I think that channeling has become more mainstream in the last couple of years, but at the time it was like, okay, I'm really stepping out.
Yeah. So wait, so this was, oh my gosh, it's 4:44 on the East Coast. As I was about to say, this was 4 years ago, right? During the pandemic, like 2020.
Yes.
That's fun. And so it was all on Zoom, yeah?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's amazing.
Okay, so we have this incredible story that kind of starts with, so you'd already mentioned, Carla, that you gave this workshop in Berkeley. And let me see, was that 2022 that happened, that workshop?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was kind of after you had taught this online course.
Correct.
And there's so many sequence of events and so many different interconnectedness. And I actually kind of feel like it's culminating in this podcast today. And you'll understand why as we tell you more and more about it. But let's take it back to a reading you gave, Carla.
Okay. Yes. 2001.
2001 or 20?
Yeah.
2021.
2020. So yeah, thank you. Hello, ADD brain. 2021. Eliza has always referred people to me. And so she said, a friend of a friend is coming, or my mother-in-law is coming, and she would like a reading. It was during the pandemic, but there were ways we could, be safe. So I was open to it, especially to meet someone in person. And that's all she told me. And so during this reading, I met this lovely, lovely woman from the mainland, and we got to meet in person. And I knew she wanted someone to come through. I absolutely had no idea who she wanted to come through her loved ones. And immediately, a very kind of somber person came through, and just a very mature energy, so to say. And she said, "Oh, that's not who I wanted. That's actually my former husband, though." And I gave her the messages, and she was very grateful to hear from him. And just a beautiful soul giving her his love from the other side. And so then this very bright and energetic, playful energy comes through, and she's like, "Yes, that's my son." And so he came through. It was just a really beautiful reading. She said, "Oh, his name's Brandon," and she had said, "Oh, her former husband was named Bruce." I'm like, "Oh," and then I could tell her son had died suddenly, and she's like, "Yes, yes, all that's true," and still having no idea who I was giving a reading to. And she's like, "I'm going to walk you to your car," when the reading was over. And she said she really enjoyed the reading. We're walking to the car, and she was so lovely to be around. It was so nice to connect with her. And I said, "Your son died so suddenly. What happened?" And she said, he was filming a movie, and he got shot accidentally on set. I'm like, "Oh, I'm like, that's so horrible." She's like, "Yes, yes." She said, "But again, the reading was so healing for me. Thank you." And so I'm driving home, and all of a sudden I'm like, Brandon, Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee. And the lovely Linda gave us permission to share this story. So thank you, Linda. That's so sweet of you to share, because there is so much magic. And so I just texted Eliza, "Thank you for the referral. I am very strict with my confidentiality." She said, "Did you know who it is?" And I just laughed, right? A laughing emoji. And so then I hear from Eliza, I don't know how much later. Go ahead, Sera, you tell this part.
Well, then Eliza and Carla, Miami Carla Coughlin Sloan, who's been on here, we were doing a practice mediumship circle, where we would, and I think there was another person there too. So it was maybe like 4 of us, where we would take turns bringing somebody through. And so it was my turn, and I brought through kind of a similar energy. He was very somber, felt very wise, very philosophical. And then I said, and he's into martial arts. It's judo or something like that. And I know that he has a beautiful blonde wife and 2 kids. And Eliza's like, "Oh my goodness, I know who that is. That's Bruce Lee." And then immediately, like, I felt him move into me, and I started channeling. Oh, I'm feeling right now.
Oh, totally.
I started channeling part of his philosophy, and I don't remember what I said. All I just knew was that what was coming from my mouth felt very profound and very enlightened. And it feels like his message still needs to come through, and more people need to understand what it is that he's saying, because it's very applicable to anybody who's following a spiritual path right now. And during that, he was showing himself standing in this beautifully manicured lawn, and with this beautiful view in the background. I couldn't see what the view is. All I knew that the view was significant, and it was like on a hill, and there was this little hedge that went along the back of the yard, and it was beautiful and sunny, and it was something of significance. And I didn't understand that at all until
well, it's so after you channeled him, Eliza texts me. She's like, "Sera started channeling Bruce." I'm like, and we couldn't tell Sera because of the confidentiality that he came through me too in a reading with Linda.
Right.
Yeah, just kind of wild. So then fast forward maybe about 6 months, a year, I'm not even sure. I'm not sure when this practice circle had happened. I don't have any documentation of that. there is this beautiful event in our dear friend Annie Farman's backyard. It's in the Berkeley Hills. It's got a gorgeous view of San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a stunning view. And she has this stunning manicured backyard and with this little hedge along the side, the back of it.
Oh my
and
gosh.
As soon as I got there, I didn't know that Linda was going to be there, but I was made aware that Linda was there, and I had channeled her former husband. I felt his energy so strongly, like I'm feeling it right now. And I recognized he was showing me that backyard. He was showing me 6 or whatever a year in advance of when I was going to see Linda.
You're kidding me.
No, showing me ahead of time. So as soon as I made that connection, that was there, I introduced myself to Linda, and I told her what had happened. And let me let you continue, Carla, with what happens next.
Well, I was super excited because Linda came out. I had this workshop called Delve into the Divine, and it was a day where I did a mediumship demonstration in front of the group, which I had never done before in front of a group, as well as I channeled and gave spiritual teachings. And I couldn't have done it without Eliza and Sera and Tracy and Annie and my friend Karen. So many helpers to put this together. It just was the most phenomenal day, most magical day I've ever, and the best day of my professional life, I have to say. It was so fun. And I knew Linda was coming, but I also wasn't going to reveal that we did a reading or anything or who she was. But when I went to do the mediumship demonstration in front of everybody, I immediately felt Brandon's energy.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I said, and I pointed to Linda. I said, Linda, this is for you. Your son is here. 100%. It's Brandon. And he was actually helping me because I was super nervous to do a group event. And she holds up a picture of Brandon. So now everyone knows who he is, Brandon Lee, right?
Oh my God.
And Brandon was showing me just such beautiful imagery about how well he's doing, how peaceful he was. And he was helping me, and he said, okay, I want you to show my mom the roses. And so I turned around, I said, Linda, he wants you to see the roses. And I turned, or the flowers, and it was just a hedge. It was a tent. It was an enclosed tent with big windows. You could see the hedge. And everyone was like, no, Carla, turn around. And there was this huge vase of roses. And so I'm like, these are for you, Linda. Like, he's showing me these roses for you. And at the same time this is happening, this cat is coming up and rubbing on my legs. Just, I'm like, okay, this is weird, but just pretending it's not happening. So this cat is going in and out of my legs, but it didn't throw me off too much. And then
everybody was noticing this cat. Everyone was like, oh my goodness, this cat is all up on Carla. Rubbing all over her.
I come out of the reading, and immediate Linda shares the story. She said, I asked Brandon to come through, and I asked him for a sign of a cat.
Oh,
so here's this cat rubbing up on me, which was the neighbor's cat. And we come to find out later, the cat's name is Mushu, which means dragon.
Yes.
And Brandon and Bruce were known for being the dragon.
Holy.
Right? Is there something you want to add here, Sera?
No, that's exactly it. That's exactly that. But none of us knew what the cat's name until after the, I want to call it a ceremony. I mean, it did feel kind
sacred.
Of like a ceremony.
Yeah,
sacred. Yeah. But we didn't find out what the cat's name was until after. We're like, of course it's named Mushu, dragon. Of course it is.
Yeah. And so
she said that she said she never has any cats in her life. So she doesn't have a cat. She's never around cats. She doesn't see cats. So she knew that if she came across a cat, that it would be a sign. And here this cat is, as her son was coming through, all over the medium.
That's so incredible.
You can't make this stuff up. You really can't.
I mean, it sounds so fake because it's so incredible. I'm so glad you never told me this, Sera, or let's be clear, you probably did. And I'm so spacey. I forgot it. But I'm just I'm freaking out, you guys. And I'm so excited for the listeners who are like freaking out in their cars or in their yards or wherever they are right now, because, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, and that's when we were talking about me coming on the podcast. I'm like, Sera, what if we could tell this story of Bruce, right? Because again, the confidentiality, but Sera sent an email to Linda, and Linda just gave the okay and a beautiful response. Yeah. And
well, so after that reading, this was still at the event. I was chatting with Linda and I felt Bruce there the whole entire time. I didn't connect with Brandon the same way that you did, Carla, but I was connecting with Bruce, and Linda said, well, listen, I need to send you the book that my daughter wrote with his philosophy and his teachings. Wow. It says, be water, my friend. And I'm getting chills. And I think this is like, here, let me read one of the quotes from it. So it says, to live is a constant process of relating. So come on out of that shell of isolation and conclusion and relate directly to what is being said. Do not make up your mind as to this is this or that is that. Begin to learn to investigate everything for yourself from now on. The oneness of life is a truth that can be fully realized only when a false notion of a separate self, whose destiny you consider apart from the whole, is forever annihilated. And this book is just full of that wisdom, full of it. And he keeps talking about knowing yourself, being curious about yourself, diving deeper into who you are, because that is the whole point. That's the whole point of being here. And when you come up, because he was always, it's not fighting. When you're in a like martial arts, an opponent up against an opponent, you don't view them as the enemy. You view them as, what you are meeting, a reflection of you. And this whole book is just, it's really great the way Shannon wrote it too. She's an incredible writer, and we'll put a link to it in the show notes, but it's just,
I'm going to try not to just go order it right now. I think I'll stay talking to y'all, but
there's a dragon on the cover of it.
Of course. Dragon cat.
Yeah.
Nice shoe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, and then so yesterday I'm scrolling on Instagram, and right before I cooked dinner, which I don't spend a lot of time there, but of course the quote, and I sent it to Sera, was from Bruce Lee. Yeah. And I don't get a lot of Bruce Lee's. It's maybe not woo-woo enough, because most of my Instagram is woo-woo. So to have a Bruce Lee one, I had to send it to Sera right away.
Oh, man.
Another sign. Like these signs and synchronicities from the divine is where the magic is.
That's where it all comes from. And I did have one come through my feed as well, Carla, in the past couple days.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Bruce.
Oh my gosh.
And Linda and Brandon.
Incredible.
Yeah, and Shannon.
Yeah, thanks to you both.
Shannon, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of an amazing example of exactly what you were talking about, Carla, right? Like you were saying, like direct access to the divine enables the magic, right?
Totally.
So you were embodying that in that moment, and that you gave space to it. And so all the years of your meditation and your training and your courage to stand up to the world and say to your husband, I love you, honey, I'm a medium, you're a what? And to just be, like so courageous to step into the fire. And then the world rewards you with that kind of outrageous magic, toss in some fame. But like, what the heck? Like, how special, like how wonderful, and how perfectly exemplary of what we're talking about. Like magic. But
so much
you got to show up to your cushion. You got to show up to yourself. Like they're pitching in the book. Got to be brave enough to go like, oh, I have to quit my job, or whatever thing is happening in your life is your gift, whether it looks like it or not.
Right. Yeah. And even like what Bruce was saying is like listening to yourself. discerning what's right for you. And when you do, magic happens versus living in your head of what I should be doing. Oh, society says I should have the white picket fence and, a corporate job, whatever. So it's like when the magic's happened for me in my life, it's always been when I've made decisions from my own knowing. And with intuition, it may not make sense at all, right? Logically. So to just allow that and don't try to rationalize it or legitimize what's coming to you and trust it. Yes.
Well, I'm so interested in the heart math. Is it Institute or what was it that you studied? Because I'll tell you why. My heart is like burning up right now. Like I have this wild heat in my chest. And I'm like, what's this? I mean, it's love for both of you and our listeners for one thing, because I'm just like so enamored with this moment. But I wonder if that was part of why I don't know. Maybe you can explain why my heart's on fire.
Yes. Well, it's so cool because I didn't even hear about the heart math until the guides, my wisdom from my guides came through about how you connect to the divine is expanding your heart energy, activating your heart energy. Like we did in the meditation yesterday, Jane, like feeling the love for your loved ones, your kids, your husband, and activating that. And the science has proven the heart math is a scientifically based organization that's been around for 30 plus years, that when it's called heart brain coherence is in alignment, not only is your intuition exponentially deepened, but your whole body is in a state of healing and rejuvenation and not in the fight or flight mode, right? And so that science came to me, of course, after my guides told me, and my husband is very science-based, so I always have it in the back of my mind, I got to prove this somehow, I got to prove it. And so to have the proof, the science that what my guides have been sharing with me for years is true.
Yeah.
Well, that's you have so interesting.
Lots of evidence, but
So
I know that whenever I'm doing a mediumship reading, and I didn't know why I do this, but I always guide the sitter and myself to move into the heart space and to expand that heart space and then call in their loved ones from that center of love that's expanded and open. So that makes a lot of sense.
Because she trusted her knowing.
Yeah.
But the electromagnetic field of the heart is like 5,000 times more powerful than the brain.
That's not surprising to me.
Wait, did you say 5,000 times?
Yeah, 5,000.
5 is a fun number.
Like the electric is like 80 times, and then the magnetic is like 5,000. Like they can measure it, right? That's in the science of the heart math. Anyway,
the heart of the horse is 5 times the size that it needs to be. So like what it requires for that body, the heart is actually 5 times bigger than it needs to be. So it's interesting, the 5 number, because I've just been tripping on horses lately.
You've been chatting with horses, Jane.
I have been chatting with horses, actually.
They've been chatting with you.
And I saw that for you yesterday in our reading. Remember? I said the horse. Yeah. I said you need to be on a horse.
That's right. You did. Of course. And then I put up the Substack yesterday night about talking to a horse, and I had not put that together.
Oh
my God.
Magic,
guys.
But that's why they're often, engaged with for therapy, because they are coherent. Their field is always coherent. And if a human field is not coherent, the human gets told by the horse, stay away from me.
Yeah.
They'll like stomp their hooves or turn their heads, or they'll just say like, I'm not interested. If you're like, hi, horsey, I'm not afraid of you, and you're like ripping scared, the horse is like, shoo. So this is how the therapy works, is you teach human coherence. So like what you're describing about the coherence between heart and head. And I'm fascinated. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. That is fascinating.
Yeah. And that's what my meditations all have, that heart activation within it and connecting to the divine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so good. Okay, so I want to talk about one other thing that's related to that event and the importance that that event had for me and community and bringing everyone together and having, because you were saying in the beginning how magical that event was, and it really was. I had just the day before tested negative for COVID, so it was my very first go with COVID. I just recovered from it, and I was feeling tired, and I was like, oh man, I know this is going to be a really long day, but I'm really looking forward to it. And as soon as I got there, it's like I was like, zing, just completely elevated. And there were so many different magical things going on. I don't normally see dead people, but I was seeing like a grandfather sitting next to his young granddaughter who's still here, on the side. The grandfather's on across the veil. I saw Annie's spirit guide standing behind her. Eliza, one of her friends, saw behind the tent, behind you, like she said it looked like an old black and white picture with kind of ancestors standing there, just checking things out, probably like helping us hold the space. While we were there, we had different breakout groups going on, lots of different talking and chatting. It just really was, when everybody comes together with a common intent to
the collective energy,
that is really,
and that's what you're creating, Carla, with your app. Because even though all of us are wherever, whatever island or whatever mainland, whatever time of day, we're connecting into that field that you are channeling and creating. And so, and as you've already proven, like time and space, blah, 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 because Sera's seeing into the future in her reading. So like, that's all right now. That's all right now, what you've created, and we all get to tap into it. Just super rad.
And one of the beautiful parts of the app is called, if it's an option in using the app, but being a member of the Awakened Heart community. And so once a month, we're going to gather for 90 minutes via Zoom. You'll have the opportunity to have a dedicated Facebook page, as well as I can communicate via the app to everybody and have accountability partner. I'm calling you your wing woman or your wingman. To have that sharing of that energy on a daily basis, to integrate it more readily in our daily lives. Because even like you guys doing this podcast, it was like, I have a play date every Wednesday. It's so fun. Yes, the
building
collective
this type
energy.
of community together, it just feels really important right now.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
And supporting each other with our intuition coming online and using it. And so we don't feel crazy.
Yes. And I just wanted to share real quick before we wrap things up. But my brother, who's in spirit, today would have been his 60th birthday, and he's been one of my guides. And I talk about him on my Instagram. So like the timing that today is his birthday, and here I am having the best celebration, celebrating Steve. And we moved my parents to Maui last year, and it was a huge ordeal as they both have memory dementia issues. And so I would pray to Steve. I'm like, Steve, give me a sign that we're doing the right things here. And so literally, randomly, the realtor is named Steve. The estate salesperson was named Steven. And the property manager that we hired was named Steve. 3 Steves.
Oh my goodness.
I should do it.
Thanks, brother.
Okay, do you want to hear something crazy? Birthday. My daughter's in camp right now, and she's got a carpool, and they all piled out of the car, and they said, I'm Steve, Steve, and Steve.
What?
Yeah. That isn't a name you even hear anymore.
No, I'm pretty sure they all said, hi, I'm Steve, and I'm Steve.
This was today?
No, this was this past week.
Oh my God.
These little girls are like 8. That's not even a name that 8-year-old girls know.
No.
It's a go. Yeah, well, I love that. Was one of my favorite stories in our first Monarch episode was Steve, the trucks coming down the hill. Like,
the Steve's plumbing.
Steve's plumbing.
Steve's plumbing. 1-800-LEAK. It's like, that's my brother's humor.
So good.
Yes.
Oh yeah. He's a kick, isn't he? He's great.
Total.
Yeah.
And so eventually on the app, after a couple of months of the getting the groundwork done, I'm going to help people connect into their loved ones. That's my plan.
So beautiful.
To help guide that.
Gorgeous.
So
yeah,
my friends, it makes even though they're not here in physical, but to be able to connect with them on our own is so beautiful.
And everybody can in different ways, in their own way.
We can all channel. Right.
Yes. It's available.
100%.
Yep.
Yes.
That I really feel like that is like the thing that we're here to do is I was like, we're just like witnesses. Like we're just like confirming for you what you already know because you knew that. Yes. And I'm just telling you, yes. And we also do that for each other all the time. Like your reading for me yesterday was so powerful. So thank you, Carla.
You're so welcome.
Friends, dial a Carla right now, not only on the app, but get in her queue for the reading because I've spent half the morning crying thinking about all the cool things that you shared. And now that I have the horseback on board. So thank you for that. It was really stunning.
And we're definitely going to put in the show notes a link to your app. So people can find that easily because it's spelled, well, I'd like to think it's spelled Sarah. It's not. It's Sera.
Sera. Yeah, Sera. No, and I love this work. This is my calling. I love it. It connects me. When I'm doing my work, I am so connected to the divine. So grateful for both of you. So grateful. Yeah, really. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be part of this. And Jane, to have time with you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Sera, always.
Oh, I love you, Carla.
Thank you, Carla. Can't
love
wait
you,
to
Jane.
see all the great things that are coming next.
Love everybody else.
Love everybody else.
Love.
Bye.
Aloha, my friends. Bye.
Aloha.
Medium Curious is made possible
by Jane Morgan Editing.
Sera Rathke made the amazing music.
And Gigi Hawkins, podcast consultant.
Mixed by Podcast Engineers. Our logo was created by Eric Allen.
Kyle Hansen McKee, photography.
And the dogs under the desk in Hawaii are Kalea and Domino.
And Trixie in California.